Okay, we now know enough to solve perhaps the most common problem, rigid body problem, which is the statics problem, when you want something not to move. Now this seems a bit boring, but it's pretty important for, say, engineering. Let's say you're building the roof of a house. You do not want that roof to move. If the roof is accelerating or rotating, people are going to get hurt and your design was a failure. If you're designing a chair, again, when someone's sitting on it, you don't want it accelerating, you don't want it rotating, you just want it to sit there and hold that person's bum off the ground. Anything else is regarded as a broken chair and a failure. If you're putting up a sign, once again, you want the sign to stay there, not fall. So these are statics problems, and they're very common, particularly in engineering. How do you solve them? Well, you apply two principles. Firstly, it's not accelerating, whatever it is, therefore net force on it must be zero. If there was a net force, it would be accelerating. But this is a vector, so you have to look at the net force in every direction. The vector net force has to be zero. Secondly, you don't want it to be rotating. That means that the torques must be zero. Now torques, well, it depends what axis, but you don't want your object to be rotating about any axis, so that means a torque about anywhere must be zero. So how do you go about solving a problem like this? Well, the first step is to draw an extended free body diagram. Now if you remember, a normal free body diagram is just like a dot, showing your object just as a circle or a small dot or something like that, and showing the forces that act on that object. And the point of that is to focus your brain on what force actually acts on the object as opposed to the forces the object applies to something else. An extended free body diagram, once again you draw your object, but now you draw it in its real shape, not just as a dot. Because we're going to be worrying about torques, and torques depend on the position the force is exerted on. So you draw your object as a real shape, and once again draw the forces that act on the object, not the forces the object applies to something else, only the forces that act on that object. But you not only draw what the forces are, but you draw where they're applying it. So in the next stage you'll be able to add up the torques. Now how does this work in practice? Let's do a worked example. Let's imagine you're trying to hang up a sign or a light or something like that off a beam. So let's imagine this is our beam. It's a rather thick beam, but it's all I've got in my office at the moment. And you're going to bolt it to the wall with two bolts here, so this is the wall, and then you're going to hang some weight off the end there. Now this is a statics problem because you don't want it rotating or accelerating. You just want it to sit there holding your weight. Which way are the forces going to work? We've got two bolts, one here, one there. You can kind of try it by hand. What I find here is with this bottom point, I have to push. If I don't, it rotates like that. The top one, however, I don't have to push, I have to pull. If I let go, it goes like this. So I'm expecting there to be a force in this direction here and a force in that direction over there. There will also probably have to be some sort of upward force here, otherwise the whole thing would fall downwards.
Okay, here's a diagram of our problem. So we have our beam, call it length 1 meter L, weight 3 kilograms, a lamp hanging from the end of it, and it's held on by two posts, one here and one here, which are 20 centimeters apart. So let's start off by drawing a free body diagram. Now the free body diagram, once again, is a diagram showing where the forces act on the object, but showing its actual shape. That's why it's an extended free body diagram, not just a standard one. So let's draw it nice and big. So what forces are we going to have? We're going to have a weight force here, which is going to be m lamp times g. We're going to have the weight of the beam. The weight of the beam acts at the center of mass. There's going to be a force down here of mb times g. And then there are going to be the contact forces at the two bolts. Now, as we saw, the force at the bottom has to push this way, and the force at the top has to push that way, pull that way, otherwise the thing will fall down. You can just see that by holding an object yourself and imagining which way your hands have to pull. But there may also be a vertical component. In fact, there will have to be. I don't know whether it's going to be up or down, but let's draw it up. If it comes out negative, we know it's actually pointing downwards. So we'll call this force 1. And we'll call this force 2. And we'll call the components force 1 horizontal, force 1 vertical, sorry, that's force 2 here. And again, force 1 vertical, force 1 horizontal. Okay, so that's our extended free body diagram. Now the next step is to balance forces and balance torques. Generally, you need to do both and then solve simultaneously your equations to find out what's going on in the total model. So, if we balance forces vertically, we have the upward forces will be the up components here. So upward force is going to be F1v plus F2v. And the downward force is going to be the two weights, mBg plus mLg. Okay, so those have to balance so that the beam doesn't accelerate upwards or downwards, which you really don't want it to do. How about horizontally? The only horizontal forces are these two. So we know that F1h must be equal opposite to F2h. Okay, and finally, we need it not to be rotating. Now we need it not to be rotating about any axis. So you can pick this as your axis, it shouldn't rotate about that. You can pick this as your axis, it shouldn't rotate about that. You can pick this or that as your axis. You get the same answer whichever way you do it. A clever pick might help choose the makes the maths a bit simpler. Now what I'm going to do, let's say I'm mostly concerned about the sideways forces, which is probably the most difficult ones for the bolt. Is the bolt going to be pulled out of the wall? In that case, I'm not interested in the vertical forces here, so why don't I pick one of these 2 points as our hinge? Because the vertical forces either go through this or extension of them, the line goes through it, that means they will have no torque around that point, so they'll cancel out. So let's say what I'm most interested in is the force here, because I'm worried that it might pull this bolt out of the wall. So in that case, let's take our torques around here, because if we take the torque around here, every force that goes through here will have 0 perpendicular distance, and so can be ignored. So if you take torques around here, the F2, because it goes through this point, has no perpendicular distance. It has no distance from the hinge, so it will have no torque, so we can ignore it. F1v also has no perpendicular distance, because if you extrapolate it down here, it goes through the point, so no perpendicular distance, no torque. F1h does, so let's say we can pick a direction to be clockwise or anti-clockwise to be positive. I'm going to pick clockwise as positive. So this is going to be negative. The total torque is going to be a negative 1 there, which is equal to this distance, h, times F1h. That's the anti-clockwise, so it's going to be negative. And then we get it clockwise. That's going to be this one here, which is the force mBg times the perpendicular distance. Now the perpendicular distance is this, which is half the length, so that's times L over 2. And then you got this one, the perpendicular distance is this, so we plus mLg times L. So, balance vertical forces, horizontal forces, and torques. This must be 0. So we find that F1h equals mBg L over 2 plus ml g l, or divided by h. And F2h must be equal and opposite to that, so you can easily calculate that. It'll just be minus this. The vertical forces are a bit harder. We actually don't, it could be that the vertical force, we know it must add up to the sum of the weights, but we don't know whether it's going to be mostly the top or the bottom one that's supplying the vertical force. It could be either. Without some knowledge of the exact details of how the bolts are put in place, we don't know how those forces are going to be balanced. All we know is the sum of them. But we can work out the sideways horizontal forces at both bolts. And that is how you solve any sort of static problem. Draw an extended free body diagram, balance horizontal forces, balance vertical forces, pick a direction to be clockwise or anti-clockwise to measure your torques, and it doesn't matter which you pick, either is fine. Then add up all the clockwise and anti-clockwise torques and solve for whatever you want.